Let me transition to the NBA because Ja Morant, obviously, he's somebody that needs to be talked about at this particular moment in time because he's about to return to the NBA following a 25-game suspension that was handed down to him in June after he was seen flashing a gun in his car that one of his friends actually put on Instagram Live. Go figure. But anyway, he took a humble tone in his first public comment since the suspension this past Friday when he spoke to the media. Grizzly Star spoke to the media Friday for the first time. He was penalized by Commissioner Adam Silver again in June after appearing in an Instagram video holding a firearm. He's eligible to make his season debut this Tuesday in New Orleans versus the Pelicans. Morant said that the suspension included quite some horrible days, but gave him time for self-reflection and addressing some issues through therapy. That was just some of the things that he said. Take a look at what else he had to say.
It's been, a process. Obviously I wouldn't say, I regret it, but I'm, not happy that it happened. But I'm also, grateful that, I had this opportunity to, like you said, reflect and do things that, I felt like was not only needed for me, but, for my family, as well, for us to, realize pretty much, what's all at stake, ways, we can, keep each other happy and, how we just, have each other's back. I feel like we obviously been close before, but we came together, even more, during this process. But like I said earlier, I can't say I sit up here and regret it because in the end, I feel like it made me better.
Morant, for those of you who do not know, he's been allowed to be with the team and practice during his suspension. And so he should be in shape. He said that support was helpful to his mental well-being, of course. However, the Grizzlies are still tied for the fourth worst record in the NBA. And he acknowledged that he feels responsible for it, saying, quote, there's some guilt. Obviously, I'm not on the floor, et cetera, et cetera. The Grizzlies are now 6-18 for the season, 1-11 at home without him. It was good to see Ja Morant at this press conference. It was bad to listen to him. I'm not here to denigrate Ja Morant in any way. We need him. He's a superstar. His brother's something special. There's no doubt about that. And when he's on the court playing a game of basketball, we're all better off for it as basketball fans. He is electrifying. He is a taller version of Allen Iverson as far as I'm concerned. He's just electrifying. He truly, truly is. That's how I feel about him. And I'm rooting for him big time. But as part of rooting for somebody, it's basically highlighting for them where they made mistakes. And in this particular instance, I'm not talking about the things that he did. I'm talking about his press conferences. He needs help. So I'm here to provide some help. Now, some would say, why the hell would you do that, Stephen A? Well, let's count the list. There was the Finish Line store incident in July 22nd of 2022 to be exact, that involved his mother, some friends, and him allegedly making threats. It continued when he departed from the mall because a mall security person said they were threatened. 4 days later, there was an alleged assault of a 17-year-old, Joshua Holiday to be exact, that him and his friend allegedly punched in the head repeatedly, his friend Devontae Pack. Okay? Remember, a couple of months later, there was a confrontation at a Houston high school volleyball game, all right, involving Morant associates. Of course, there's the laser incident that took place months later of this year, January 29th to be exact, where the Pacers had gotten into a confrontation with Morant's friend Devontae Pack, same guy. He was escorted off the court after he got into a verbal altercation with a few Pacers players. After the game, reading from the reports right here, members of the Pacers organization say they're confronted by Morant's associates. Members of the Pacers organization told The Athletic at the time that a red laser, which some believe is a gun's laser sight, is trained on them from a car containing Morant and others. The NBA investigates, but does not corroborate the presence of a gun. Pack is banned from Memphis home games for a year, Morant says. Then there was the Instagram Live incident in March 4th to be exact, in Colorado, after the Grizzlies lost to the Denver Nuggets on March 3rd. Morant is seen briefly appearing to hold up a gun while rapping and dancing at Shotgun Willie's, a nightclub in Glendale, Colorado. He was ultimately interviewed by my colleague at the time, Jalen Rose, my man, interviewed John Morant. And John Morant said, that's not him, that's not who he is, etc., etc. But he never answered, the question as to whose gun was it. I guess he's not snitching. We get that. Didn't want to dime out his boy. Fine, no problem. But just 10 days after that, remember, Morant had received an 8-game suspension for that. But then a month and 10 days later, May 14th, a second Instagram Live incident follows. Morant is seated in a moving car. Obviously, this is after they got obliterated by the Lakers in the playoffs, by the way. Okay? When Dylan Brooks was talking smack and then the Lakers smoked them by 40. Remember that? And Morant and the rest, and some of his teammates, not all, but some of them were seen on the bench. Morant was laughing and smiling while they were getting annihilated. Remember that? But then after that, he's seated in a moving car. This second Instagram Live incident flashes an object that appears to be a gun during an Instagram Live video broadcast by his friend. The next day, the Grizzlies announced he'd been suspended from all team activities pending an NBA review. The NBA begins an investigation. Morant says, quote, I know I've disappointed a lot of people who supported me. This is a journey. I recognize there's more work to do. And then on June 16th, during the finals, Adam Silver announces Morant has been suspended for 25 games after a league investigation. In the statement, Silver calls Morant's behavior alarming and disconcerting. Morant apologizes to the NBA, his teammates, fans, and sponsors in the statement, saying he would spend the offseason working on his mental health and decision-making. He said, quote, to the kids who look up to me, I'm sorry for failing you as a role model. I promise I'm going to be better. And to all of my fans, I'm going to make it up to you. I promise. That's the story on John Morant. Those are the facts. What's left out is the fact that Adam Silver felt the need to suspend him because John Morant lied to his face. Told him that's not how he's living, that's not what he's about, that's not what he was doing, that would never happen again, and then a month later it happened. Okay? Now, mistakes happen. Everybody deserves second chances, third chances in some instances. John Morant broke no laws. He wasn't a criminal. He didn't violate any laws. He violated the bylaws of the NBA. It's a different matter, but he broke no laws. So let's not view him as some kind of criminal. But it's time that we start asking certain questions. And it's time that John Morant articulates specifically what the problems are, which he did not do in that press conference. He was asked on numerous occasions what kind of help he received, what did he learn, what specific mistakes does he believe he made, etc., etc. He was very vague about those things. Very vague. Now, some would say it's none of our business. That's fine. You're a public figure. You, John Morant. One could argue against it, but that's neither here nor there. Here's where the issue lies. And I was shocked that nobody asked this question. How the hell was stuff ever on Instagram Live to begin with? Like, you're allowing it. John Morant is not stupid. What was going on? What was in your state of mind that you allowed it? What could it have been? Were you not lucid enough? Were you not alert enough? Were you compromised? See, we got to ask these questions. Because to me, that's what's at the heart of this. A completely together, lucid, alert John Morant is not allowing somebody on Instagram to put him on Instagram Live. He already knew from a month earlier with the 8-game suspension that it was a compromising position for him to be in, or a couple of months earlier, that it was a compromising position for him to be in. So how the hell did you end up in that position again? How? How? It's not stupidity because he ain't stupid. It's a smart brother. Never forget Draymond Green coming on this show and telling me that Ja Morant is one of the most brilliant basketball minds he's seen out there on the court. This brother's don't sleep. His athleticism is what all of y'all are focused on. You don't understand how smart this brother is. This brother knows what he's doing. He's a scientist out there. That's what Draymond Green said right on this show. Right on this show. He's not stupid. What's going on? Nobody asked him. Were you drinking? Were you of your full, did you have your full faculties in order? Because if you're Ja Morant, here's what you do in this press conference. I messed up real bad. I know my words don't mean anything because I said it to y'all before and look what I did. But here's what I didn't say to you before. These are the problems I was having. I'm over them now. Therapy, counseling, friends, family, loved ones. He said those parts. He said, but he should have said, but at the end of the day, here's what I was going through. See, we miss what America is all about. We're called and considered the land of second chances for a reason. When you express your vulnerabilities and you just put it out there, people understand. It's when you act like nothing's wrong or you come across like it really ain't that much of an issue, but since y'all making it out to be an issue, all right, I got to deal with this shit, and then, all right, it's time to move on. See, that's when it becomes a problem. All Ja Morant had to do was answer the direct questions that were presented to him. I assure you, if you go back and you watch that 16 plus minutes in which I saw him talking to the media, everything that was thrown in his direction about exactly what had gone wrong, he was vague about. He was vague about. You know what that means? That means that there's a large part of him that doesn't feel he was wrong. There's a large part of him that doesn't believe he needs to change the company he keeps. Excuse me. Or the environment in which he's around them and they're around him. Which means that it's not so much that I did anything wrong because, again, he broke no laws. Is that the cover-up needs to be better. I am not saying that Ja Morant feels this way. I'm saying that's how he looked in the press conference. And whatever publicist he had working with him didn't do a good job. Because, yes, we need to see, and yes, we need to see that you're not going to do stupid shit no more to compromise your bottom line, your dollars, and your ability to take care of your family. Yeah, you got a contract that's kicking in next season that starts for 5 years and can get you in excess of $231 million. But that $40 million you lost, you'll never get that back. You'll never get it back. And why? Why? Why exactly? Because you're waving a gun in a strip club? Because you're waving a gun in a car? Because one of your friends who's supposed to be watching your back is literally Instagramming you live on it while you're doing it? There are other videos that people would look at and would say it's incriminating. It could be something as simple as Ja Morant drinking a bottle of water. And I don't bring up his daddy because I don't like him. I bring up his daddy because I do like him. I do like T. Morant. I do like his dad. I love seeing him at the game. I love seeing his connection with his son. And he's a basketball fan. It's nothing but love for that man and respect. I'm a black man. You're a father. And the way black fathers are denigrated in this world is sickening to me because so many black men are great fathers and we don't get enough props for it. It really, really bothers me. But perception and imagery matters too. And if you are a person that's at the game and the lights are flashing everywhere, it's you're inside an arena, right? It's not the sun. And you wearing shades with a cup in your hand. What you think people are thinking? It could be a Pepsi. It could be water. But sir, what do you think people are thinking? It matters. Because of how your son has been perceived. So when we talk about cleaning stuff up, all of it's got to be cleaned up. It's got to be that come to Jesus thing. Yeah, the NBA just has to deal with Ja Morant. The Grizzlies as an organization has to deal with all things that entail Ja Morant. And that includes his friends and family. And it's about simply having to sit down and like, yo, it's what we need. And it's about Ja Morant saying to the public, I know I had to do better, but this is what was going on. My bad. My bad. He was vague. And that's why you saw the commercial appeal in Memphis and other things saying, the hell with your words, show us. Because his words were not riveting enough. They didn't tell us anything. So now folks lie in wait. If it were me at that press conference, I'm not saying Ja Morant does because I don't know anything about that. And damn it, even if I did, unless it was reported, I wouldn't tell y'all. I don't get into people's personal business like that. But if I had a drinking problem, I would say so. Yeah, man, I leaned on alcohol. If I had family issues, yeah. The specifics are none of y'all business, but I had a lot going on with the family and whatever, and I didn't know how to handle it, and I did it the wrong way. But we've worked together on that, and I think we're in a better situation. It could be anything. It's just sprinkling someone or the folks with nuggets of intel to express and to articulate specifically what you're going through so you can be believed. Because without that, nobody believes in the sincerity. Now, that may not matter if he doesn't get himself into another situation. But I assure you it will matter if he does. Because people will remember. And they won't lend it towards you simply having a problem. They'll lend it towards you being a young, rich prima donna who thought you could get away with anything. Yeah, he deserved what he gets. And I thought that the press conference was an ideal opportunity to him to really speak and articulate himself in a way that shows how sincere and genuine he is about moving forward and making sure the past never happens again. That's just me. I don't know how y'all feel about that.